Welcome to Jay's Gamepad, everybody, and Wagwan. First and foremost, I'd like to ask you could please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification if you like this video or any of my content. Much appreciate you. Let's get into this video. So, Sony. I have a very love-hate relationship with the corporation that is known as Sony, aka PlayStation. For those that might not be aware, I am a very big advocate of ownership, owning your own games, physical games, owning what you pay your hard-earned money on. Now, I came across an interview done by Layden. He works for like a Japanese company, Tencent now. And he's basically talking about his prediction in regards to PlayStation 6 and where he thinks and where he can kind of see the future of gaming and where it might go. And he predicts that a return to disc drives for the PlayStation 6, despite a 51% of preference for digital games, is gonna happen. And even though many regions still rely on physical sales, obviously due to poor internet connection, because they don't have the same internet connection we have over here in the UK or in the States, or maybe in most of the places in, Europe and stuff like that. And also the fact that the PlayStation 5 Pro lack of disc drive has not provoked a backlash, which I am not happy about. I don't care for digital. I don't really like digital content, and I will go into the reasons why I don't like digital content. Now, Sony aims to consolidate their sales through PlayStation Store, potentially through benefiting from higher revenue shares, manipulating and pulling strings like the Puppet Master, because if you can only buy games via their store, then they can dictate the prices of their digital games. However, challenges like tariffs and chip shortages, we've been having chip shortages since COVID, and for those that might not be aware, they are building 2 mega factories, one in Europe, and I think there's another one in the States. I might be wrong, but I think it might be in the States, to mass produce these chips, because before they were just coming from Taiwan. And if you don't know the economics with China and Taiwan, that's another conversation right there. And with Donald Trump, the new president of the United States, laying down these tariffs, then it can really affect mass productions of hardware and physical games. And how, like, in general, I'm just concerned for the future of physical games and ownership and the loss of online playability. I think that's like very, very concerning. Now, before I go into the knee deep of what he said and give you my thoughts and opinions, I just want to name and cross off some of Sony PlayStation's crimes since they have released the PlayStation 5. And I want to paint this picture so you can understand where I'm coming from and the point that I'm going to make right at the end of this video. PlayStation 5, Sony released a PlayStation 5, and they released the DualSense controller for the extortionate price of £70. Now, I will not be talking about $69.99, fuck that shit, you know what I'm saying? It's £70 with 40 analog sticks. They knew this from day one. Sony knew that their controller had 40 analog sticks and it was going to be an issue. But they still are happy to charge us gamers $70, £70, €70, $70. They are taking the McVitie biscuits and it does not have chocolate on it.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Crime number 2. They released the PlayStation VR 2 for the extortionate price of £530, and it did not even come with the capability of backwards compatibility with the PlayStation VR 1. So all them games you owned and played on the PlayStation VR 1, you can't play them on the PlayStation VR 2. Because they want to double dip and they want you to pay for these games again just to play them on the new headset. Violation. And the worst thing about it, you need the PlayStation 5, which by the way at the time cost £450. So you was basically spending near enough £1,000. This is before you're buying games.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Crime number 3, PlayStation Portal. released for £200. Now the price isn't that bad considering what the hardware is, but you can only play this handheld hardware if you've got a good internet connection. So like I've mentioned before, for the other gamers in certain countries and regions where they don't have good internet connections, you can't buy this. So what was the point of mass producing a piece of hardware like this? And the worst thing about it, it still came with the troublesome analog sticks, which is even crazy because if it busts on them, you got to send that bad boy back and it's costing you mad peas.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Crime number 4. Sony, in their wise great wisdom, decided to release the PlayStation 5 Slim digital version for the disgusting price of £390 without the disc drive or the vertical stand. And if you wanted the disc version, you had to basically pay £480. So the digital version was £390 and the disc version was £480. Violations. And the thing that makes me laugh, if you bought the digital version and you decided you want to get the disc first, buy the disc, you had to spend another £100. And if you wanted to get the vertical stand, you had to fork out another £25. And the worst thing about it is that when it came out, it cost more than the base PlayStation 5. Are you taking the fucking piss, Sony?
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
And their fifth goddamn crime was releasing the PlayStation 5 Pro digital version for the violating price of £700. And again, if you wanted to buy the disc drive, you had to spend another £100. And the worst thing about this, if you wanted the disc version, you would have to spend around about £800. And the wildest thing about this goddamn whole situation was that the PlayStation 5 Pro is barely more powerful than the base PlayStation 5, because I am yet to see anything that even justifies spending this type of money on this so-called PlayStation 5 Pro. It's a goddamn violation. And the wickedest thing about it, the fucked up thing about it, is that if you bought the PlayStation 5 Slim with the disc drive is not compatible with the PlayStation 5 Pro. So again, if you bought the PlayStation 5 Slim and you decided you want to get the Pro, you got to sell all of that and spend even more money to go and get the PlayStation 5 Pro.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Now, I say all of this here because PlayStation's been fucking up. They've been fucking up for a hot minute. And as I've stated, with the 5 major violations that Sony have done, their record is not good. And a large part of it is to do with Xbox, because Xbox basically capitulated. They just basically bent over and spread their cheeks and just let Sony fuck them, you know what I'm saying?
Shame. Shame.
I say all this to say because you can clearly see how they want to push like gaming to digital only, so that therefore they are able to control the market, where you can only buy games from their store. They can release half-ass digital games and charge you X amount of money for them. And the thing is that it's not like when they do certain things on disc, you can hack the disc and you can find out how certain things are put behind a paywall, or how they've like cut certain content out. If they just make it digital, there's no way of really trying to like find out what they're doing, because it's just digital content that's on their PlayStation store. You can't buy it anywhere else. And also Sony wants to do kind of like what Xbox is kind of doing, where even if you've got a phone or iPad or a laptop, you can access the PlayStation store and play games. Like they want to like do that, like that's their whole thing, you know what I'm saying? And take away ownership, which is what I'm not with. So when I saw this interview with Layden, and he's basically talking about the future of PlayStation and Xbox and the disc drive situation, I was kind of surprised to hear him say what he was saying. But when I heard the whole interview in its whole entirety, it kind of made sense. Because, for example, digital games are increasingly popular, with 51% swaying to digital and 49% split in favor of physical games. And one of the main reasons for that is because of the fact that, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of regions that don't have good internet connections, so therefore, like, you still need to go and buy physical games. So Sony realized that, and they're producing it. So it's kind of like the global market is kind of dictating, or shall I say, like, putting Sony's plans on the back burner, because we all know, I know, and you should know, that Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, they all want their games to be digitally. It means they save money on mass producing physical games as well. So they're saving a hell of a lot of money. So I look at all this and I just think to myself, like, you've got like a lot of territories that still prefer physical games. And I think that's one of the major reasons that why Sony is really reluctant to just make the PlayStation 6 solely digital. And like, also, like, this whole thing of like the challenges of dealing with like ownership when it comes to digital games, like, I don't like that shit. Because what happens if you don't like the game anymore? Are Sony going to give you a refund? I doubt it very much. We've seen how they react to how they are when it comes to giving refunds in general. So what happens when you can only buy games, digital games, on their platform, and you don't like it anymore, or you're bored of playing it and you want to sell it? You can't sell it because there is no middleman, there is no second-hand market, there is no retailers, there is no nothing. And I'm a firm believer of buying something that is tangible, something you can touch, physically touch, and put into your console and play. And one day, if you decide you don't want it anymore, you can sell it and recoup some money. Or better yet, maybe you can part exchange it and get a game or a piece of hardware that you actually want. But if games are just going to be digital, then that cuts that out completely. Sony makes more money and they have more of a reason to give us poor content. Basically, in general, we should be thanking all these territories and regions and countries that don't have a good infrastructure when it comes to internet. Because if it wasn't for them, I know that Sony, Xbox and Nintendo would have switched the next generation to just be digital only. Basically just buying a box and digital games. And you have to go to the ecosystem and you can only buy games from them, which I am not a fan of. I don't agree with that. And the fact that, like, this is where gaming is eventually going to go, it's going to be dark times.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
What I can see happening is that when it actually does get there, that, like, for us gamers that have like the consoles and the physical games, I think them prices are going to go up, because essentially it's like, it's going to cut out the middleman, so you can't buy it from retailers anymore, so they're going to lose money. You know what I'm saying? They're going to save money, like I said before, because they're not pressing or making physical games. So these corporations are saving money as well. And what's going to happen is that the physical games that are out there, the prices are going to rise up, because like a lot of hardcore gamers, shall I say, are more like foundational gamers, or whatever you want to call them. Like, they're gonna want something, you know, that's tangible. They want things, you know, like for nostalgia purposes, and just to have it like on their shelf to look at and stuff like that. So I can see like the market in that second-hand market like raising very, very high, and a lot of the physical games and goods and stuff and controllers and accessories, they are going to become quite expensive, and that's just what's going to happen. I just think that Sony's been making a lot of missteps when it comes to hardware, and even their services, to be honest with you. Like, their service isn't even that great. If we're talking about service in terms of like what you get in terms of like gaming and stuff like that, Xbox is killing it with Xbox Game Pass. Every time I talk to my friend, every time I talk to my brother, yeah, and always talk about a new game, oh yeah, it's coming out with Xbox Game Pass. And I'm standing there like, fucking hell, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Sony's like is willing to one day go down this path, are they even gonna think about giving us a service like Xbox Game Pass? Now, the argument will always be said that Xbox has got FU money, and they can basically afford to have a service like that where they're just like essentially losing money, because really and truly, if you look at their numbers, they are losing money. But Xbox can afford to do that because they got Microsoft P's. Sony isn't like on that level. Yeah, they're multi-billion corporation or whatever, but they ain't got like Microsoft's money. So probably not. But it's like, if you want us gamers to eventually go down this route, then you need to provide a really good, robust, beautiful surface. And I can see them doing what Nintendo like currently does with their games and stuff. Like, you very rarely see games go on sale or anything like that. So I'm just surprised in general that Layden actually thinks that the PlayStation 6 is basically going to still be like a physical disc console, and mainly down to a lot of territories, because if they decide to make it like digital, then they're going to lose a lot of money in these territories. The only thing I'm pissed off about is the fact that, like, you still need some form of internet connection, because what I don't like is the fact that, like, if I don't have any internet connection, I can't even play my games. And if my memory serves me correctly, let's go back in time. I remember when the PlayStation 4 came out and Xbox One came out, and Xbox was talking about you have to buy the console with the Connect, and like you have to be on internet and you can't lend games and all this DRM business. Sony came out with a whole, like, you know, marketing ploy to basically say, oh, you want to borrow a game? Here, give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Basically like, F you to Xbox, you know what I mean? Like, you effed up. So I just think to myself, like, why is it now that, like, if my internet connection gets cut completely, I can't even play my games? And this is what I don't like, you know what I'm saying? So even though that they're still making these physical games and stuff, you're still beholden to internet. And that's what I don't like. What happened to the days of me just buying a console and just putting the game in and just playing it? Why do I need to be connected to the internet to even play my game? Because slowly but surely, Sony has creeped into our lives to the point of where they give us the illusion of, like, ownership, even with our physical games. Now, if this is what Sony's doing with our physical games, fuck knows what Sony's going to do in the future, when the only games you can buy are digital from their store and from their ecosystem.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
It's peak. It's gonna be peak. And listen, I'm a gamer for the gamers, you know what I'm saying? I always think about you, I always think about myself, and I always think about the consumer, because at the end of the day, there needs to be this relationship, a good relationship with the corporations and the consumer. And I'm gonna end this video by saying this: the whole point of me, like, ticking off the 5 violations that Sony has basically done with their hardware and their fuckeries and their overpricing and their missteps and stuff like that, is because the reason why, well, part of the reason why Sony feels so comfortable to do what they have been doing is because of, 1, of Xbox fucking up, and 2, because of us. Because the same way when the PlayStation 4 came out and Xbox One came out, and everybody turned around and told Microsoft, go and fuck yourself with that, I'm not hearing and seeing the same energy with what Sony's doing now. And I don't understand it, because Sony hasn't even been like their whole game lineup hasn't even been all that great in comparison to the PS4, to the last gen. Double dipping, making us spending bare money, lying and talking. I mean, coming out and saying, "Oh, if you got a PlayStation game, was it that's a PlayStation IP game, then you'll get a free, like, PlayStation 5 upgrade." And they backtrack because they want to double dip and drag more money out of us. No one weren't, like, coming with the same energy how they was coming with, like, with the last generation, with Microsoft and Xbox and their fuckeries. And we are part of the reason why this is eventually gonna happen, and this is the reason why Sony is taking the piss. Like, we're basically like Microsoft, letting them bend us over and do whatever they want to do to us.
Pause.
Pause? Pause what?
You said something gay.
No, well, they ain't violating me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be damned if I'm gonna let them violate you too, you know what I'm saying? If you're like me, then Sony can't do anything to us. They can't violate us.
Pause.
Pause? Pause what?
You said something gay.
And me as a gamer, I just want us as a community in general to just speak with our voice and vote with our fucking wallets, you know what I'm saying? Because these corporations, they are beholden to us. They think that, like, it's the other way around, but it's not. It really isn't. And regardless if you're like a fanboy of Xbox or Nintendo or PlayStation, all these console wars or whatever, listen, we should all want value for money. We should all want good product. We should all want good competition, because it means we get better consoles, better gaming, better service, better value for money. So I'm happy that Layden said what he said, but it's coming soon, people. It's coming soon, and we need to come with the same energy we came at the beginning of the last console generation when Xbox tried to come with their fuckeries because they were too arrogant and they thought that they was on top of the world and no one couldn't tell them anything, and they could dictate to us how the last generation was gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope in future we can dictate to them how the next console generation is gonna go and what we want and how we want it. Anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions. Let me know if you disagree with Layden's opinions or my thoughts and opinions. I don't know, but this is what I think, and this is how I feel about certain situations. So yeah, I hope this video was informative. If it was, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you like this video or any of my video. Much appreciate you. Also, if you want to hit me up on the social, Twitter, Instagram and Twitch, James Gamepad across the board. You ain't got to type, tap, press anything else but that. And also, if you want to find me or hit me up on PlayStation, my gamer name is MrGhostProtocol. So I guess I will see you and speak to you real soon.